Join me today as we speak about the false narrative that especially the black community has adopted. And it is the root of all the problems that we are having in America today and all over the world. Please listen, contemplate, and think about the change that is needed for us to grow and have an abundant mindset.
To just say that, you've returned to a city that really is on fire. There are killings that are going on in this city. So much is happening. Folks are saying that we're living in dark times where there's so much police brutality and so many other societal ills. And some of those societal ills is indeed black on black crime and black folks killing each other in these streets of Washington, D.C. And for those kinds of antisocial behaviors to be taking place, it is my sense that in part of it, it is because we don't love ourselves. And to that end, we have a special treat here. A gentleman that I refer to as the heavyweight champion of the spoken word, Ty Gray L, is going to share with us a little piece of poetry, and then we'll be right back to you.
My mother said she was African. No matter where she stood, you could take her feet off African soil, but you couldn't take her African good. My mother said her mother was the mother of civilization. You could take her name, you could cause her shame, but you couldn't take that salutation. My mother said I was royalty, crown prince of the motherland. Said I wasn't considered much over here, but back home I was truly grand. My mother said my melanin is a gift and I should be proud. She said darkness of hue is God's gift to you, your personal protective shroud. My mother said my hair, like Samson's, represented strength. She said one shouldn't hide their race pride because the power's in the lock, not the length. My mother said many things, and most I put on a shelf, but one thing is clear, I can still hear, son, learn to love yourself. My mother said Jesus was African. She said Noah was African. She said Moses was African. Look nothing like Charlton Heston. My mother said everybody on this planet came from Africa. Dominicans, Africans. Jamaicans, Africans. She said everybody on earth came from Africa originally. My mother said many things, and most I put on a shelf. But one thing is clear, I can still hear, son, learn to love yourself. That's what my mother said.
We thank Ty Gray L.
Powerful piece.
Powerful piece. Tony, I would like to start. You wrote something, and I'll read this. It said, the journey from obfuscation, confusion, to understanding begins with contextualizing the operative and the speculative aspects of architectonics.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
Well, essentially, when something has been hidden in plain sight, obscured, people wonder in darkness. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, you talked about the murders here in D.C., Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia, all across this country, black on black crime. One of the reasons why we abuse ourselves to very high numbers is that we've been socialized to hate ourselves. And we hate ourselves because we don't know ourselves. We have bought into a false historical and cultural narrative. So the antidote to that confusion, that pain, that suffering is to truly know yourself. And so that poem that opened this program today is all about connecting yourself to Africa and seeing Africa not as a nation of savages, a continent of savages, but as the foundation of culture and civilization. So this idea of architectonics can be looked at in two ways. Operative architectonics is the science of architecture, the creation of buildings, and understanding how a building and the space around buildings influence people who see the building, influence people who work within the building, and who operate around the building. One of the best examples of that here in D.C., Rock, is the Washington Monument, the tallest structure in D.C. It's an icon. Everybody in the world can identify this nation based on that singular object. Now, most people have been conditioned and socialized to believe that the Washington Monument is a tribute to George Washington, first president of the United States, founding father of the United States. And that is partially true. I say partially true because based on my studies in Africa, specifically Egypt, I know that that structure, which the Greeks call an obelisk, the Washington Monument, is actually a 6,000-year-old African structure that was created in Kemet, or Egypt, that was designed to represent the founding father of ancient Kemet, a man by the name of Asar. And I would tell you and your guests, at the end of this program, I'll be able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that when the Washington Monument was created in 1884, it was actually built to honor Asar, first king of Kemet, and not George, first president of the United States. The evidence to prove that is right in front of people's faces, but they don't even know that it's African.
You know, Tony, you said later in the program, I can't wait.
Brother, I want you to wait because I want to do a bit.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this right now, but I would like to tell you that you can easily pull this up. It's Rock Newman's show with Anthony Browder, and it's at WHUT station on the campus of Howard University, HBCU. Of course, we know black folks have bought into a false narrative, and they're expecting positive results, but we keep doing the same things. That's called insanity. And the only way that we can circumvent, and he said to overturn this, is by knowing thyself, knowing thy history, the past, which a lot of us don't want to read or do anything. But one thing that we are familiar with is hate is nothing new for us. All is expected of us is to rap and cuss. That was now, that was then. Our future won't be written with a pen. Talk, talk, talk is all we do. This is why our dreams don't come true. Our leaders are dead and entertainers have taken their place. And we wonder why we are last in every meaningful race. What a disgrace. Because Project 2025 is do or die. Vote yes on the matter and Kamala, and black folks can say goodbye. There's a group called The Last Poets, and they have a song that is called Black People Are Scared of Revolution. But the fact of the matter is, black people are sometimes scared of evolution and change. We have to know that powerful people never teach powerless people. We talk about things that we know nothing about. Kemet, which the Greeks called Egypt, existed over 6,000 years BC ago. And the Greeks Hellenized everything that Kemet possessed when they conquered them. And this is why we are so mixed up, because we don't understand that names were changed, countries' names were changed, history was rewritten, and it goes to the victor of how history would be written. And we need to start studying our history. Understand that Ethiopia is the mother of Egypt, which is Kemet. And so we will find a lot of answers there. False narratives imposed on us, expecting positive results, never happen. Too Far Enterprises.